Okay, what we have here is an '05 PT Cruiser with a 2.4, just a regular 2.4, not turbocharged or anything. We got about 60,000 miles on it. And what our complaint was is that it idles rough and sometimes even runs a little rough. Didn't really complain about power or misfires or anything like that. So first thing we did is we noticed you could put your hand on the engine while she was idling and you could definitely feel a little shaking going on there. So first thing we did was a relative compression test here, and we used the high amp probe, just put it around the battery cables going to the starter. And what you'll notice is we obviously right here we have a weak cylinder, and we have a weak cylinder. Right after the weak cylinder, the next cylinder's got to make up for all that rotational force because it's spinning a little faster. So you're going to have this here effect where it rises right after your weak cylinder and then slowly declines. Even though the other three cylinders did show the same amount of compression. They were all right around 175, 180. Our weak cylinder here, we measured, it was around 100 pounds of compression after we did the relative compression test. I didn't bother triggering anything because I figured at this point the plenum's going to come off anyways, so we'll just do it. It's just a 4-cylinder. We'll just do a regular compression test. And let's see here. We can exit this. Ooh, the screen's pretty bright. Let's see. We'll go to compression test of number 3 cylinder. Let's see if that'll open. And there we can see we only got roughly, we're getting about 100 pounds of PSI on a regular compression test. And then we'll look at number 2 cylinder, and we can see we're way up here. Got a good peak rise, and we're right up around 175, 180. And then we'll just look at a rolling compression of number 3. Open that. You can see we're only getting, on a rolling compression, we're getting up to around 70, 75. Now if we look at rolling compression on a good cylinder, this is with the Schrader valve out of the compression gauge. And we got our 500 PSI transducer hooked up. We see just on a regular rolling, there's a little weak here. I think we just kind of caught it on a half a stroke, so the first one was a little weak, but we see we get about 150 just on a regular static, and we can see, you know, you pull a little bit of vacuum down here when the intake valve opens. You get a little bit of vacuum in the cylinder, so everything looks pretty good there. And as we could tell, we could see that number 3 was obviously weak. So the next question is, why is it weak? So what I did was took the valve cover off here, and I got the valve out of the compression, out of the end of the hose here, out of my compression hose. And we look at the engine here. This is number 3 cylinder. We got the exhaust valve should be closed because our cam lobe is pointing up, and our intake valve should be closed. So we should be pretty close to top dead center here on number 3. If we look over here at number 1 cylinder, we can see that our exhaust valve is opening, or is almost all the way open, and our intake valve is closed. So what I do is I got this hose hooked up here. We got her hooked up here to the super smoker, or the smart smoker, or whatever, and we'll just press that and turn it on. We got air. We got smoke coming in, going in the cylinder, and there we can see we got smoke coming out of the number 1 cylinder where our exhaust valve is open, and we don't have any smoke coming out of the intake port here on this. So we can, at this point, you can see we got a lot of smoke coming out of there. That it's pretty safe to say that on this PT Cruiser here that our exhaust valves are not sealing, and that is our cause for low compression. I really didn't do a leak. I mean, this is a leak down test. When you got smoke pouring out of the cylinder where you got your exhaust valves open, all the other cylinders, our exhaust valves should be closed or near closed, and we don't see any smoke there, and we don't see any smoke really coming out of the adjacent cylinders, so I don't think we have a head gasket issue. I'm pretty sure we just gotta, it really wouldn't matter, you could pull the head off anyways to fix this, but you can see our smoke is, oops, I pinched off the hose there. Our smoke is traveling through the exhaust manifold, hitting a little bit of back pressure there, and I'm sure it's coming out the tailpipe too, but it has no problem whatsoever going through the exhaust, through the manifold, and coming back around and coming up number 1. So at this point we got to pretty much recommend that we pull the head off and see what's wrong with our exhaust valves here on the number 3 cylinder. And again, it idled okay and it ran okay, and as far as I know, I don't know that I didn't see any cold stored in it. Maybe somebody had already cleared them, but it came from another shop. I could tell that we had new spark plugs put in, trying to correct the issue here. But again, when you get something that runs rough, I mean, you do that relative compression test, and you're gonna see it right away that before you do a tune-up or before you do an injection cleaning or anything like that, or throw plugs and wires at it, that if you do that compression test, and it's relatively simple. All I did was just take the relay out, and all you gotta do is just touch it right here, and that's all it takes. We put your low amp probe on the battery cable, and 5 minutes you're done, and you know you're not going to waste your time throwing plugs and wires at the thing. So okay, I guess that's about it.